Okay, on here we have three English phrases, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna write this in mathematical phrases. So, for example, we have one here. For example, we have twice a number added by let's say 5. Added by 5. Here you go, added by 5. So here, twice for me means I have to double it. So for example, twice a number, for the phrase twice a number, that means I have to double it. That means I have to multiply it by 2. So twice means multiply it by 2 or double. So twice means 2, so I'll go ahead and write the number 2 for the twice. Twice of what? A number. But because I don't know what that number is, I'll just go ahead and think of a variable n, or probably a variable x that will represent that certain number. So right now I have twice, which is 2, twice number, which is, let's say I'm thinking about n. Okay, that number is n, and then added, obviously you're going to use plus, and then by 5. So basically your expression is going to be 2n plus 5. This is telling you that twice a number plus 5 is 2n plus 5, an algebraic expression. So for number 2, 5 less than. A lot of students are confused about the words less than. They know that less than is minus, but they are confused that because of the order. For example, here we have 5, and then less than, and then 6 times a number. So times a number. So I'll just go ahead and put n here. They are thinking that because of this order, they're thinking that it is 5 minus 6n. But no, actually, when you are using the words less than, you have to write it backwards. So for example, 5 less than, again, instead of doing 5 minus 6n, what's going to happen here is, because of the words less than, we're going to flip it. Okay, 5 minus 6n. We're going to flip it because of the words less than. We will rewrite the expression by having 6n minus, and the 5 should go there because, again, of the words less than. So let's say 5 less than a number, less than 6 times a number is this one, which is 6n minus 5. Now, this applies also for the words more than. Okay. Okay, let me change that by the word more. Okay. Now, for example, here we have now the word more. So 5 more than, again, it's going to be 5, and then plus, here you go, is going to be 5, and then plus, and then 6n, okay, and then because, again, of the word then, just like the less than, and now we have the more than, we just have to flip it, we just have to switch them, and now you have 6n plus 5. But this is also correct, but I'm just doing this because I don't want you to get confused between more than and less than. I want you to make sure that more than and less than are both having the same word then. So that's why we have to flip the expression. And now for number 3, twice the sum. So again, I told you that the word twice is twice the sum of, that means you multiply it by 2. So twice, so that means you multiply it by, okay, we'll see. Twice, we're going to multiply 2 by the sum is plus, so the sum of what? You add what numbers? Sum of a number and 5. So again, we have twice, which is 2, times the sum of a number and 5. And this is going to be your expression. Twice the sum of a number and 5. Now, how about if I make it twice the difference? I'll make it difference this time. Twice the difference of a number and 5. So again, twice, 2 times what? The difference of what? Of a number and 5. Here you go. That's about it. 2 parentheses n minus 5. That's it. Okay. Now, let's do number 4. Now, I want you to do this now on your own. How about if you have the square of a number subtracted by 7? The square of a number subtracted by 7. The square of a number subtracted by 7. That means you have the square of a number minus 7. Now, how about the square of the difference between a number and 5? The square of the difference between a number and 5. Try that one. The square of the difference between a number and 5. So again, the square of the difference between, okay? The difference between a number and 5. Again, you can use any variable for a certain number. It could be x, y, it's up to you. Now, how about if you have number 6? Your first number is x. Let's talk about consecutive numbers. Okay? Your first number is x. I would say first number. Your second number. And your third number. Okay. So now I have x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. Now how about this? How about if I have twice the first number, twice the first number? That means that if I'm thinking about twice, that means I have to multiply by 2. So multiply by 2 for x plus 1. So twice the second number, which is x plus 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write 2 because of the word twice. Okay? Twice. But I have...
Miss Gray, would you come to the guidance office? Miss Gray?
But I have to multiply twice 2 by the second number, and the second number is x plus 1. There we go. So, okay, let me continue the problem. Twice the second number added by the third number. So our third number here is x plus 2. That's about it. That's about it. Twice the second number, which is x plus 1, added by, there we go, x plus 2, which is the third number. Okay, how about this? The square of the third number, this is the third number, and we're talking about the square of it. The square of the third number subtracted by the first number. What is our first number? Okay. So how about this? The product. See, we have the word product now. the product of the smaller numbers. Now, which ones here are the smaller numbers? Of course, the first and the second. The product of the smaller numbers added by the third number. So, the product of the smaller numbers. So that means these two will have to be multiplied. The product of the small numbers added by the third number, or I would say the largest number from our list here, which is x plus 2. Okay? Now, let's have the last one for this. Now, let's talk about the odd or even. Now, when you have a problem about odd even numbers, your first number will always be x, your second number will be added by 2, so it's going to be 2 and then 4. Let's say the fourth number is, let's have the fourth number as x plus 6. So, now, how about if you have a problem like this? The sum of the fourth number, okay, the sum of the fourth number and the second number. So this is your fourth, and that's your second, and I just said the word sum, so the sum of the fourth number and the second number, okay, subtracted by the square of the first number, subtracted by the square of the first number, which is x. Okay, that should be easy enough. Now, how about here, number 7? Let's talk about Sam and Gary. Sam and Gary. Okay, now here's the problem. Sam is 5 years older than Gary. The sum of their ages is 20. Now, this is not really, I just created the question, so this is not really a correct problem. But here, the skill that I'm going to teach you here is to how to write an equation or an expression from here, from this problem. So right now I have Sam and Gary. Now Sam is 5 years older than Gary, so that means Sam is older than Gary by 5. So that means you have to ask yourself, how old is Gary? Because right now we know that Sam is 5 years older, but we don't know the age of Gary. So because we do not know the age of Gary, we're just going to go ahead and use x for the age of Gary, because we don't know his age. But we know that that Sam's age is 5 years older than Gary. Okay, so I would say that it would be x plus 5, because Sam is 5 years older than Gary. If Gary's age is x, then x plus 5 will be Sam's age. But wait, the sum of their ages. So sum means add. So if I add them together, x plus 5 plus x, for the word is, we're now going to use the equal sign, and then we have 20 here. Do not solve this set. Do not solve this set. All I wanted to share here is how to write this in equation. Okay? Now, how about here? This time, how about given this? This time, I want you to write the difference of their ages. So how would you write the difference of their ages? Now I have x. Okay, so I have x plus 5. Difference, that means minus. And then you now have Gary's. So this is Sam's age. Difference minus Gary's age. That's about it. Okay? So let's go to our last lesson, which is combining like terms. Now when we combine like terms, combining terms. Okay, number one, you only combine terms that are alike, that are like terms. Okay, so for example, 2x plus 3y plus 4x plus 7y. Now here we have two variables. We're using two variables here. We have x and y. Now, obviously, I'm going to underline, and I will underline that too because they're both x's. Then you can go ahead and combine them because they both have the same variable, so we call them like terms. So 2x plus 4x again should give you 6x. And now I will circle this and that because they're both y's. Notice that I circled the sign and the sign also because the sign is telling you whether you add or subtract. So now I have positive and positive. We learned it today that if you have both positive, then we just have to add them and then copy also the common variable. There you go. So answer for number one is 6x plus 10y. Now let's take a look at 4x squared plus 2x minus 3x squared plus 5 plus 6x. Now, if you notice here, we are only using one variable. We're only using x, but if you notice also that here I've got an exponent 2, here I've got an exponent 1, exponent 2, exponent 1. Again, we did not consider these variables, these terms as like terms, even if they're using the same variable. Now, according to like terms, you have to make sure that the like terms are having the same variable and same exponent. So even if they are having the same variable but having different exponents, that means they are not like terms. Okay? So now I would consider these two terms as like terms. So 4 minus 3 is 1, but in algebra, instead of writing 1, okay, I'm just gonna write x squared because it's understandable. It's understood, guys, that there's an invisible 1 here. Okay, so how about, okay, I'll go ahead and again I circle that plus and I'm circling again, so that means I have both positive signs, so that means I have to add them, plus 8x. And now look at that 5. There is this alone, number 5 alone here. That means I just have to write it down. Okay? I cannot add this to x because it doesn't have x. These two I cannot add them together because these two terms doesn't have the same, they don't have the same exponents. So that's about it. That's the final answer. Yeah. Thank you.